Whether this is your first junk journal or your 50th, these are 10 things that I wish I had known from the start. And number 4 completely changed my entire approach and the way that I viewed things. And I think it's going to surprise you too. Hi, I'm Ingrid Carlsen, and I am so glad that you're here with me today. I hope that this video inspires you and lights a fire under you to create something beautiful today. We are going to start off strong with number 10, and that is not every journal needs to be emotional. We talk a lot about writing our story and putting our heart into our pages, but sometimes we don't have time for that. And so, for those times, I want to encourage you to just use the pieces that bring you joy for no other reason than that you like them. And the main point is that whatever it is that gets you to creating something, that is the trail that you should follow. Your journal can simply be about putting pretty pieces together and layering them in a way that is happy. Number 9 is more of a practical tip, but very important, and that is picking the right glue for your project. The glue that you use is going to make your art last. It's going to change the way that it feels. And I'm going to tell you that even if you have a low budget and you can't get one of these like Fabri-Tacs or the art glitter glue, you can still use a glue that is affordable and make it last. And that is by burnishing. When you make sure that your glue is making contact with your paper, making contact with the glue, making contact with the other paper, you are going to ensure that your pieces will stay longer. Now, back to the glues that I use. These are my favorite glues. The first one that you saw there was the Basics glue. It is a very wet glue. It takes a very long time for it to dry, but when it is completely dry, it's almost like cement and it makes my projects feel really strong and secure. I like using that one more for pieces that maybe don't go inside of a journal or for folios. Next one is probably the most popular, and that is a tacky glue. That is similar to your white glue, except it's a little stickier, I would say. It gives you a little more wiggle room, and you can find this glue everywhere. Oh, the famous Fabri-Tac. That is one that I have a love-hate relationship with. I love it because it is acetone base. And so what that means is it's not going to wrinkle your papers. What it does mean is my polish will come off my nails undoubtedly, and I can't stand that. So I stay away from that one a lot. And the one that I've been reaching for the most is the art glitter glue, and that one does leave some signs of glue behind, but it really is a all good workhorse type of glue. And glues can be a little controversial, and everyone is always looking for that perfect glue. But the biggest tip I have here is don't rely on what others use, but try some out for yourself and pick out your favorite on your own. Maybe it is the way that it disperses through the nozzle, maybe it is the finish that you're looking for. So it really depends. Another tip that I would give you is to have different types of glue on hand. And that's what I have here. And so depending on the project is the glue that I'm going to use. The other glue that I did not show in this video, and that's because it's not a wet glue, is my glue runner. And you've probably seen me use that one in past videos. I love it for the convenience and the quickness, but it has zero wiggle room. Once you put that page down, it does not budge. And so this isn't a great option for a lot of people. Tip number 8 is one that I've just recently started to incorporate, and I struggled with this one at first, and that is you do not have to decorate every single page at once. What that looks like for me is now I keep several journals that I use, and depending on what mood or aesthetic I want to be in, then I can pick that journal. And instead of worrying about taking one journal that has 70 pages and decorating it from front to back, now it gives me kind of the authority, the ability to have fun and play. Sometimes when I'm working on bigger journals, I get bored halfway through, and this is a great alternative. You can still have your big journals over on the side, but the thing is, you don't have to only work in that. You can also have little mini journals that you can work on one page at a time. It's a great way to boost imagination, creativity, and to kind of stump that boredom bug. Another hard one for me was number 7, and that is use up your favorites. This was really hard, especially early on when I was just starting to get my collection of ephemera and papers, and I was scared to use up my favorites because I'd go through them and then I wouldn't have them. I think what I was failing to understand is that when you use the pieces that you love, they are forever in your journal. And every time you flip through, you can enjoy those pieces. You can see what you created and the story that you gave them. And once you start viewing them like that, then you will start enjoying the process of using those favorites. Step number 6 is probably one of my favorites and one that I talk about over and over again, and it's because I believe it wholeheartedly in my soul. Give it a week. If you start creating something and you feel like it is not your best work, you don't like it, it's completely horrible, yours doesn't look like so and so's, and it doesn't have this aspect of it, stop, put it to the side, and wait a week. The odds of you liking it when you come back are so great. I have yet to come back to a page that I really thought that I didn't like and see it later on and not change my mind. The thing is that when you put something aside, you come back to it with a different lens. When you are first in the creative process, you are trying to sometimes create something like maybe the biggest masterpiece. You are putting your whole heart and soul into this journal spread. And then you have this kind of expectation built up that is so great and hard. What happens is when you come back to a project after giving it a little bit of time, you have a fresh set of eyes and a new lens to look through. And usually that is all of the difference that it takes. I can't tell you how many pages that I made in the moment thinking, this is trash. I don't even want to post this. I can't believe I made this. This is horrible. And now when I look back, I'm like, that was beautiful. I remember the time that I spent making it. I can recall the materials that I used, and I love every piece of it now. Tip number 5 is recognize what you love and do it over and over again. I love stitching. I noticed that as I look through my journals, the ones that I feel the most connected to are the ones that have stitching in them. I love the way that it looks. I love the way that it feels. I love the extra threads on the ends. I love really everything about it. And making this little observation helps me later when I'm creating, because if there's a spread that I don't like, now I know that perhaps adding a little bit of stitching could make me like it more. One year when we were living in Florida, we were having a pool built, and I had shown the designer different photos of pool inspirations. And then when we were talking about the designs, my stuff was completely different. And he made the correlation that all of my photos that I had showed him for the inspo had rocks, and the ones that we were designing didn't. And he suggested that maybe I like rocks. And something so simple like that I didn't correlate that I was doing that. But as someone who had a second set of eyes and was looking at it through a different lens, then he could pick up on that. And that goes back to our other step of number 6 of giving it a week, because that is what happens. And so if you want to learn what your favorites are or what your style says, go back to your old journals and pick out the pages that you really love. Look at the little details. What is it about that page that you love? Do you love simplicity? Do you love the opposite? Do you love more decorating? Do you love chaos? Do you love quietness? Pick out those things that you like and then do them over and over again. Tip number 4 is so simple, but it needs to be said, and that is no one needs to see your journal, not even you. Once you are done with your journal, you can put it away, lock it up in a drawer, and never look at it again. So I'm not really suggesting that you do this. What I am suggesting, though, is that you give yourself the permission and maybe the guise of not having to see it again, or not having someone else see it. Maybe the guise that you don't have to see it again, or that no one else will see it again. This kind of allows you to create without having restrictions, because now this is your journal. It's for your eyes alone. And like I said, you don't have to look at it ever again. And it gives you the permission to play, to take away that need to, or the pressure to share it with others, or to show it off on social media. It's in those moments that we are creating, when we don't have limitations around us, where really true discoveries can be made, where we can learn that we do like stitching, or maybe we don't like stitching, that we do like layering, or that we like more simple layouts. But it's when you give yourself that permission to play that you're going to understand that. If you stop yourself every time you don't like something, you're not going to get ahead. And I am telling you this from experience. I have been creating for a very long time, and I have been journaling for a very long time. And I think of all the things that I didn't make because I compared myself to others, or because I felt inadequate. And I want you not to have to go through what I went through. I want to hold your hand and tell you that you are perfect. You are wonderful. You are special. And your creations deserve to be seen. Your story deserves to be told. So don't be scared. Just create. Tip number 3 is that you do not need a theme. You can just create page by page, just depending on your mood or what you like for the day, what you're feeling. Actually, creating like this gives you the permission to just have fun and play. And instead of trying to make sure that your colors all match, and that you have the same type of elements, and that you're telling a story from page 1 to page 10 or whatever it is, this gives you the ability to then put that journal down, play with it whenever you want. Now, that being said, I do have to say that when you decide to create based on a theme, it is an easier way to start because the blueprint is already laid out for you. So it takes the guesswork out of what you're working on next. So when you need a little extra inspiration, or maybe you're stuck in a little bit of a rut, a theme is a great way to start and to just get your creative juices flowing and create without having that burden of having to think of what am I going to do next and what is the next page going to be. This is where kits come in really handy, because if you get a kit that has all the same theme, like I'm showing you here with these bumblebees, then you don't have to think about it too much. You can literally just lay pieces down page by page, and it will help you to ignite that passion to create something, even when you don't feel like it. The last two tips go kind of hand in hand, but let's start with number 2, and that is that there is no right way. No matter what anyone tells you, there is no one way to do it. It's not a one size fits all. It's not that at all. And if you don't believe me, go to a museum and look around at the different art. You have impressionists to contemporary, abstract, and everything in between, because there is someone who loves something that maybe you don't love. So I urge you not to get caught up in the want to do it a certain way. And that's because there's only one of you. Your way is the right way. Instead of leaning on that burden of thinking of having to do things in a certain way or in a certain order, play with different styles and different colors and see what you like. See what sparks joy in your heart, because I'm going to tell you that when you figure that part out, creating is going to be so much more enjoyable. It's going to come freely from you instead of it being a burden and something that you feel inept to do. Now it has freed you to be creative, to go with the flow and just create. And for my last tip, number 1, is it does not have to be perfect. And if there is only one tip that you take from this whole video, I really pray that it's this one, because if you are waiting on perfection, you will not start. A lot of times, if you look at something that you procrastinate or that you hate doing, it's because you probably fear the ability of not being able to be perfect. I want to encourage you to just start, just create. Mistakes are our way of learning, of growing. And I can tell you wholeheartedly that without the mistakes that I made, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have the same aesthetic. I wouldn't have the same ease. I wouldn't have the same joy when I come to journaling. And it was really once I put down all of the comparisons, put down all of the restrictions that I had next to me, and really went back to the core of understanding that I am creating to create. It's not for someone else. It's not for making content. It's not for anything other than the joy, the serenity, the peace that it grants me into making something beautiful with my hands. And that changed everything for me. I started creating more. I started posting more. I started doing the things that I was scared to do because I took those parameters away. And so today, I hope that this video has inspired you. I hope that it mostly has lit a spark under you to make you want to go create something today, even if you only have 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes can be used for making the most beautiful masterpiece the world has ever seen. You don't know until you try. Until next time, I love you. Bye.